Let's see how many people are awake still in the other parts of the world. Here we go, Chris Long. I thought you'd be tucked in bed and having sweet little dreams by now. Hey Nate and Q's. Well, hopefully this should just go easy, but then again, we can never quite tell, can you? Alright, yeah, this came in a couple of days ago, and the problem was that the person couldn't get it to fire up the phone, and it was giving all sorts of weird behaviour, like we tried to charge it and stuff like that. Chris, yeah, I am a gynecologist. I just have very limited clientele. I really shouldn't say things like that. Anyway, so yeah, the phone would just keep constantly switching off and stuff like that after 3 seconds. And at first it threw me. I thought, oh, what's going on here? I thought it was something more complicated. But inspection of the existing power switch showed that it had ballooned out the back, so they've obviously just been pushing it a bit over time, and it's punctured through the contacts, the plates, the diaphragm plates. And so we just got to replace it. I could have extracted one from an existing S4 board that I have, but I prefer not to melt the ends of them, even though the people don't see them. It was cheap enough to get a replacement switch. They're like 50 cents for me here. So I bought 5, which means I'll use one now and never use the rest. So here we go. The only thing I have left to do right now is I need to get the solder out of the mount holes, which is always a real pain in the butt. One method I found that seems to work alright was to use wick, put a little tiny trim end on it, and then use hot air to heat up the whole area, and then that will pull the solder out of the hole, in theory. It worked last time, so why not this time? First thing I have to do though is probably put some more leaded solder into those holes and give it a bit of a chance to actually work. So what do we got? Hello from Mexico. By the way, I'll let you know, my name's Quinton. Oh, cool. Flood with lead and use low air, and here you can sort of heat. Chris, speak properly, man. I don't know how this camera's going to go. It's a bit of a hack job setup, so let's see how we go. I probably should move that. For some reason the camera's quite sensitive to this light, even though it's quite low. Oop. Fortunately, there's nothing on the other side. The reason why I've got the shield there is because I know that once I'm done with this, and I'll bring the hot air in, it's I don't really want to end up destroying whatever's behind here. What have I done there? That's crazy, man. Hopefully my fume extractor should turn up soon. I'll have to do a bit of a stream on that because it's going to be a hack job. It's not a lead. Let it flow. No, we'll take. Looks good until Bearclaw gets in there. Yeah. Sorry. I wonder if I can change the angle on it. Just give me a second. Bearclaw, really. And now you see nothing. Because my face is in the way. Yeah, it'll put me down the bottom right where I don't. There we go. Wonder Awesome. I'll give it an 8 because it doesn't have that fault is here feature that everybody keeps asking for everything else. I really wish you could have augmented reality on these scopes. So now this is why I want to keep the big monster, what do you call it, monster mic. Oh, for God's sake, I can't think. Soldering iron with me. I should have fluxed that up. Fixing things. And Wayne, Cormac. Are you using hot air to wick those holes normally? Well, it's just something I noticed the other day that I had a situation where, oh man, I just had a coffee and I think the caffeine's starting to kick in and making me jump around a little bit crazy. Yeah, there was a couple of holes and I couldn't clear them out. Yeah, so this sort of bit of fuckery here. So I thought I'd just try on the off chance with wick into the hole and a bit of hot air, and what do you know, it worked beautifully. So I'm going to try it again. Yes, I said argument of reality. What a... Very scared of injected voltage. I gotta tell you, Q, I'm kind of the same. A lot of that comes from the designer perspective of me, I think. Because I'm thinking, man, I know where those volts are going to go through all the protection diodes and all sorts of stuff. Man, I got the shakes bad today. I may have to actually not do this. Yeah, this isn't going to work like I thought. Alright, alternate method. So I don't really normally like to just pound at the holes, like trying to just force my way in with the soldering wick and stuff. Oops. God damn. No, I'm sorry folks, yeah, you think, I know Lewis complains about the shakes and I know he's in a different situation what I got, but like, God, some days I'm bad. Yeah, Cormac, I would normally too, but I'm at a bit of an odd angle here. Yeah, Chris, I'm going to go back to the wick, but I'm going to change my iron. And that was my iPhone 6s Plus. I think it just vibrated off the table. I'll go get my 1.2 tip. What the hell are my tips? $10 soldering iron. Oh, yeah, thanks. Yeah, let's see what you did there. Fluxwick. Yeah. Normally when I did the flux thing the other day, by the way, I almost just grabbed that with my hand like that. That would have been real, you guys would have laughed, I would not. Jesus, that's annoying. Yeah. I'd rather do MacBooks than iPhones. Yeah, Chris, I'm sort of umming and erring. I don't know which way I'm going to go. On the one hand, I've got no shortage of iPhone situations. On the other hand, the parts that you're dealing with obviously are much bigger on the Macs. Smoke alarm going off here. Yeah. Okay. Where'd my little piece of solder go? Remove that speaker. Speaker in the house. Mr. Speaker. I think the other problem is sometimes the leaded solder doesn't even get through to the other side. Yeah, pin of the, that's because the beeper's right next to it. I've got the microphone gain up, but I can't do much else. Come on, Hacko, do your thing. This tip isn't getting as hot as I thought it should. Let's turn it over, go the other way. That's what it does. What I really hate when doing live streams like this is that normally when you're an entirely competent person working on your own and stuff like that, somehow you turn into a complete moron. It's like your normal process of thinking and all that sort of stuff just seems to, I don't know, just vanishes. Fuck you. This 1.2 tip is not getting the heat I would expect. It's called self-mutilation. What? Movie Inception if I used Hacko to solve the same speaker. Took my own oscilloscope part, but doing inside, yeah. Yeah, fixing things with, let's see, you sort of do these things and you kind of think, my god, I'm an idiot. By the way, this is Chris Long's preferred wick. I don't seem to have my preferred at the moment. My preferred is good. Oh, yeah, this is backed up. I'm just trying to feed him again. No, my big leg claw's in the way. Ah, yeah, the card thing. That thing amuses me. Oh, you fucker. No. Son of a gun. I'm going to delaminate this at this rate. Hold the wick. Yeah, that's actually a good idea. Holding the wick in the hot tweezers. That makes a lot of sense. No, it's not coming out. And I threw out those tweezers. God damn it. Chris, I don't have 3 arms. It's not like I've got Micah here to hold the hot end for me. Yeah, let me just adjust the microscope placement there. Dun, dun, dun. There we go. Chemtronics wick. Yeah. Well, there is another way that I've... No, you're going to burn it if you do that, Paul. I'm just going to have to ignore all of you. Still getting used to where the hell everything lines up in terms of visual with the microscope. Oh, look at that. That's stuck. Sorry, Hacker. This time you just can't do it right for me. I've got to get my beast. This is the beast. Oops. Bloody hair keeps getting in the face. Chris, you want to come over here and give me some radioactive treatment so that I can at least grow that 3rd arm? God damn, this is a mess. Yeah, Leslie, that's one idea, but I'm just bringing out the beast. Alright, beast. Let's get to work. It's... Okay, good. Hugh Jackman full of it. You don't realise how big your equipment is until you have to use the small equipment for a little while. It probably should fix some things, but I think the tip's just too small to handle it. So I'm just going with the great big one. And that should hopefully, it feels really awkward now. The trouble is the board itself has gone cold. So I have to sort of start all over again. Yay, bloody cat here. Damn. Almost through. BCM3 tip. I'm guessing that's a 3mm wide tip. Fortunately for me, this person actually only wants the data off it. I mean, they want to use it, but their primary concern is as long as they can get data off, they're happy. So I can completely fuck up the switch and still get to live. I also noticed I'm swearing, and I apologise. This is not a family-friendly thing to do. God damn, there's like, I hate it when you get to this point where there is like a tiny mid layer still left. Break through that without destroying the traces. Actually, it's just all ground anyway. Chris, this reminds me of when you're doing your GPU, your external GPU power supply thingy. Man, the shakes are so bad today. Like, I don't understand having the shakes if it's an important customer. Please tell me you're actually the right size switch outside the screen. Yeah, you are. Yay! Huzzah! Fucker. Is YouTube going to ban me or something for swearing? Then I sort of yeah, anytime I worry about that, I think back to myself and I think, well, without Jessa, um, without Lewis, they're always swearing. They don't get any penalties for that. Q's, if you've got the 0.5, 165, you definitely should not be having any troubles with burning your light. But with the WD-30 2-bar, you will definitely burn your light. Eight blue dicks. What the hell? Barrack. Yeah, stab in the board. Sometimes, yeah, when you get that tiny little bubble layer that sits in the middle layer of the board, and you sort of, sure, you can keep wicking at it, but to me, that's sort of, that is barbaric. If you break out Ryobi, then YouTube. Oh, broke out the Ryobi. Oh man. Does anyone outside of Australia know the brand Ryobi? Yeah, come on. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I won't get rid of this thing. Because I actually got this for $99. It was like, there was a running out sale or something, they were closing down. It was normally $2.99, got it for $99. It's a good solid iron. You can still get tips for it too. Not genuine tips, but then, to be fair, that product itself is not really what you consider the genuine style product. Now I've got to see what's going on with the switching body here. I'm trying to work out how they've configured it, so I know what my restraints are for where I can and can't afford to have a bridge. Okay. This is where I will admit it'd be nice to have a tilt body board assembly. I suppose I could kind of do that by jamming something underneath here. There we go. No, that's a little bit too much. I'm just looking for something to put under there. Something stable. Cormac, the 25-year-old Draper 100-watt soldering iron gun. Is that one of those ones with the two outlets and coming down to basically a short circuit point? Those things are crazy. I gotta change too. You're ready for the screaming? I can imagine if there was sports for service geeks, one of them is how quickly can you change the Hakko tip. Yeah, this is not going to be really visible for you chaps, but what matters here is that I actually get it done right. And that feels good. Yeah, transformer, switch and coat hanger, that's pretty, yeah. Those things put out crazy amounts of EMF. Remember a few people, their computers failing or some electronics failing because it was just the noise, the electrical issues that they would put out. There's enough to knock out the damn thing. Oh man, come on man, quit the shakes. Frickin' ground plane. You're gonna need some flux and some fire on that. TCRS first. First what? First idiot to say first because no, I'm just being brutal with you, TCRS. I'm sorry. Unkind of me. I'm a little bit angry today because I missed out on Lewis's stream. And this thing's giving me more grief than I want. Oh, for God's sake, I don't want to replay the Switch. I might have to bring the beast back. Backside. I got an elevator. Just, for God's sake, who's beeping? Be right back. Just a taxi. Yeah, Chris, I bought myself a 1x Barlow, which is basically just a, as you would know, it's just a cover, because I really do not want the primary objective on these lenses to be exposed to all the crap that is coming off these, you know, the solder fumes and the spluttering and all that sort of stuff. In terms of working distance, I gotta admit, it's a little bit tighter than I like with the straight one, so yeah, the 0.7 is probably going to be right. Trouble is I ordered all of them, everything but the 0.7 this time. Oh, come on, they are. I gotta have the beast back. I find it very frustrating that even at 65 watts, it's quite difficult to get through even that tiny little connector ground plane there. 60-70 zoom is too much. Yeah, but the trouble, and I think this is what Chris is probably going to get to, the trouble is when you put the 0.5 on, you drop down to about 22.5. And when you're doing long screw damage or something like that, I can see that 22 is just not quite enough. You probably want something like 27, 25, 27. So I suspect a lot of people, you know, suffer in that respect, and so the 0.7 might be more useful there. What a pain in the posterior this has been. Yeah, 90 is just way too much. Not that I can speak from a lot of any experience. I was going to say a lot, but really none. But already I can see that anything beyond 30 is really starting to push your luck. I got a hefty breeze coming in here. That's probably not helping. I'll be back. Alright, how many people did I lose? And now I've got to try and remember what I was doing. I've got to answer the door for customers. It's a little bit awkward. I'm at opposite ends of the house. I will be getting a new setup soon, or at least I'm working towards it. We'll build a proper reception area at the front, and that way then people can pick up and drop off stuff, and like my wife can handle a lot of that sort of thing. You know, people paying, yeah, people paying is the most important thing. What you doing in here, brother? I'll show you guys my cat. No? Hey, Craig. You shouldn't be in here. Very scaredy cat. He would sense that he's being watched and he would flee. And he has fled. Now, this is a real mess. I'm not at all happy with how this is coming up, to be honest. It's very poor job. Yes, I need a fume extractor. It's in the mail. It's coming. It's coming. This lung's extracted. That's why you gotta breathe through the nose. Oh shit, nearly. You breathe through the nose, and that's not going properly. Then all your nasal hairs filter it out. Just as nature intended. Film extractor? I don't know. I think you'll see me. Yeah. I am. It's coming. What do you want, Bubba? You know you're not supposed to be in here. Why are you in here? Hold up. Here you go. Yeah. I don't normally let my cats in here, as a general rule, because for obvious reasons. Unfortunately, because when I'm having to handle everything on my own, I can't hear very well, so I have to leave it open so I've got a chance of hearing when customers are at the door and things like that. If I don't, I'm doomed. Yeah, shut up, Chris. I thought this was supposed to be a support, help type group. Instead, it's a let's mock the crap out of people group. Yeah, I'm being a prick. I'm actually trying to make sure that the hold downs are set right. I want to hand this back to the person and they press it and then it just dislodges within 2 seconds. Yeah, that one actually did go perfect. Nice. Nice. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you okay? It is.
That's okay. I just heard that Michael wasn't allowed.
Yeah,
I called him back.
he was drifting and being a bit.
I called him back.
Oh, is that why you went back? Thank you.
You've got a little line.
Yeah, she's being good. Well, it's still got a clicky action, so that's a good start. In other jobs I've done where I've cooked the switches, sort of try to click them and they're dead. Yeah, whoops. Cats are awesome. Dogs where they can mess stuff up. Use cats to lick the book. You love the. Oh my god, Chris. Too far, man. Keep your little play games to Micah. I don't want to know what you guys do behind closed doors. I don't mind dogs. I mean, I've had a couple of dogs in my life, but and I'm not talking about bad relationships, by the way, in case you people are trying to pull that sort of crap. But overall, I do have a stronger like for cats, mostly because they're fairly independent. You know, they don't constantly approach you and go, "Do you love me? Do you love me? Tell me you love me. Do you love me? Do you love me?" It's like, I already said I did. Okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to have to power it up. The microscope's going to go out of whack now. Let's see. Here we go. Come on, up you come, up you come. Oh, alright, I'm going to be back in a second. I got another person at the door. Alright. Oh, wow, out of focus. I didn't even get a chance. Come on, cameras. Back it out a bit. Focus. There we go. So we've got some new toys to play with later. We've got an iPhone 6 that doesn't recognise the charger, won't turn on. Who knows, might be a TriStar. And that focus is getting way out of control. Turn it off away. And we've got a nicely smashed screen. So I'll have to see how much that's going to cost to replace. Hang a sign up like Lewis does. What sort of sign? Alright. So let's get this into its host. Let's see how it goes. I should brush off this side too. Even though it's not critical. Using cheap chargers always destroys TriStar. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. This is very much the $2 gas station charger fault. I've been looking at buying a bunch of Apple chargers and Apple Lightning cables. They're not really that much different in price to the clones, of the good quality clones, so I may as well just get the Apple ones. I'm not trying to turn a profit on them or anything. I just simply want stuff that I can give customers when they go, oh yeah, it's no good. Because the last thing I want to do is put my effort into fixing something and then they just go straight back and blow it up. Oh, look, there's an ant on my hand. Ah, sorry guys. That's what I was trying to do, this... I'm tangled here. There we go. Lewis had internet issues today when he started streaming. No, you can't say gas station in Australia, petrol station. Servo. Take your pick. Okay, obviously we're not going to do a full reassembly. Just enough to prove that it works. As far as I know, the battery should be good. There we go. We're good. That was a lot of drama for one little switch, I gotta tell you. I bet you if this had been off stream, it would take me 3 seconds. That's what I like to tell myself. Chris, if this is a TriStar on the 6, I'm going to be in a lot of drama, aren't I? Because I tried doing one of those the other day, and that rotten underfill. To be fair, the underfill wasn't the big issue. It was more like when I tried to get the chip off, it didn't want to come off. And it's right next to... is it right next to the RAM or something remote? Nonetheless, yeah, that was a pain. Alright, so that's fixed. It just needs to be reassembled. Stick that aside. I'll be nodding off at my desk in the morning, it's all Paul's fault. It's okay, I'm used to being blamed for everything. Let's get the beast out of the way. TriStar is beginner level. Oh, yeah. One thing that shocked me is the amount of difficulty that working on an iPhone 4S is going to be, because, bloody hell, this hair is... What am I, supermodel? No, that's not good, that's really unsexy. The amount of flooded underfill or conformal or whatever they want to call it in the iPhone 4S's, I didn't realise how much there was until I started looking around at a few of the ones that I need to repair or just try to get data off or something. Pretty much everything under those shields is, well, no good. But what's crazy is about 5 years ago I had a person come in with an iPhone 4S and it had touch issues. And at the point, one of the possible causes was the crystal. There's a crystal that's in amongst there. Anyway, and all I had was my Goot RX 711, probably like a 0.8mm tip, and I bought hot air for this, but it was some god-awful piece of hot air, no control in it or anything like that, and then just free vision. I didn't have a microscope or anything like that. And I hacked out that crystal from the underfill and all that, and managed to replace it, and didn't destroy anything. I was like, what? Now when I look back, I'm thinking, how the hell did I even manage that? That was a bit crazy. Well, I'm not really supposed to be doing anything more now. This is supposed to be the end of the stream. But I am curious to see what's up with this one here. Let's plug in my current meter. Custom made. I do have one of those fancy big LED ones, that Jesse uses and everyone else uses. But because I made this one myself, I'm partial to it. 0. This is with a good cable. What do you reckon, Chris? TriStar? Yeah, let's get a zoom in on this. Not my crotch. Mia! Oh, God. Come here. Come here. Naughty cat. Good thing the soldering irons are off. See? That's what you're not supposed to do. Out you go. Alright, sorry about that. Yeah, so that's probably TriStar. I will probably practice on some other iPhone before I do this one. Yeah, 0, 0, 0. Well, yeah, I mean, it could be the TriStar, it could be the port. They did say they cleaned the port, which means they probably used something rather strongly abrasive or aggressive, and it's likely knocked off a couple of pins potentially. Yeah, we'll pop over and have a look anyway. Okay, it's treating that like a 6S then. Well, it looks in good condition. It's never been opened before. Let me try that port. Like I said, I don't know what they would have cleaned it with, but I have my concerns. Usually people use tweezers or little knives, and like scratching away in there. Here's my professional tool for cleaning ports. Disconnect battery and replug. Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, thank you, Chris. The angle of this camera is not the best. I vote for a charge port flex, alright. So there we go. Nothing. Nada. Zilch. Now that's sickening actually, strangely looking at it like that. That's better. Let's pull the zoom back a bit. Whittle down a scrap piece of zip tie. That's actually an interesting idea, CryJ. Yeah. Use tweezers. Yeah, the difference is, Chris, I mean, you know what you're doing, as in you know what the dangers are. So that's fine. I will whittle down this though. I like that cable flex up. The idea you got there, CryJ. That is actually a nice one. Because normally I'm just using toothpicks that I've whittled back. The wooden toothpick, yeah. U1700. I'm guessing that's TriStar on the 6. I mean, I gotta admit, this is pretty damn clean. Yeah, nothing. I will try another charge port though. And these are not the right charge ports. These are, that's what iPhone 5 stuff. I do have other ones, I just gotta go to the other room and get them. Oh, TCRS with your SMC off by 1 row, that's okay. You just fix it like how Lewis does. Just give it a little nudge and she'll fly across to the right side. Honest, works. At least once in a blue moon it will work. That was my Vaseline. This is for when the going gets tough. Ah, it helps you plug it in the right port. 60, 54, 40. Ooh, we got a charge port. Looks like WorldTech wins. Which I'm thankful for, to be honest. Alright, so charge port it is. Without coffee, things get screwed up. I gotta say though, with coffee, things get screwed up. Like me, hand shaking all over the place, like a Michael J. Fox or something. I gotta admit, that guy does really. I quite admire that chap. Chris, I'm going to have to order another pair of snips, because the ones I've got, just through years of abuse, because that's what I do to things, I've knocked the sharp end of the tips off, so now I've got wire strippers on the tips rather than actual clipping tips. I'm not going to do the TriStar. Yeah, but Chris, although the battery wasn't connected, it was actually still coming up. You see, when I tried the port directly, it didn't work at all. Look, I'll confirm it anyway. It's going to be a bit of... You guys have just set yourselves up for 15 minutes of doing nothing. Because now I've got to wait for this thing to charge. Hey Farfam? Yeah, fixing things. I've already been doing TriStars on test boards. And like I said last night, I was doing it on my 6S. I've already done plenty of iPhone 5S ones. which everybody knows is EasyPi. Same with the 5C. Also tells you Tigris is working now. Okay. That's interesting. That didn't beat up. Oh, it did. I thought it didn't beat up, but really it did. It's just that the battery, you can't really see it. Here, the battery icon's up. Do you local copy your streams? The last Toshiba streams, which are Firephone, because of that choppy stream, I actually do now make a local copy. So, but thank you for pointing that out, because you're right. It's what I should have been doing, and that would have meant I could have uploaded a good one. I was upset about that because it was a good stream. It was predicted the fault, found the fault, fixed it. It was great, but no, instead it's choppy as hell. So I do apologise for that. I guess remember these things for next time. Yeah, the Vaseline's out. Yep. Cat is required for full membership, I agree. Battery, I'm sure, is dead, possibly. I haven't yet. Although it's charging at 910 right now. There we go. So it's got a full, good charge rate going. Yeah, because that's normally what I do too. Or even when you just plug it in, you can pretty much know straight away that it's got junk in it, because it pushes out from the. It doesn't sit flush with the chassis. I hate it though when customers work that out before I get a chance to get it off them, because that means that's a nice easy job you lose out on. I'm not trying to rip people off much, but it would be nice to get those sort of quick wins. I mean, God knows, you go through so much trauma. Like I spent probably 16 hours late into the night fixing up someone's machine, and it's charged out for 2.5. So, you lose a lot. You need some wins. Peak period. Wayne, I think the problem here is I think it's the CBC issue where the supplier isn't buying enough capacity, and come night time, they're on peak and they just they don't have enough. Yeah, we're just going to have to wait for this thing up. Chris, the one thing I do like, or for anyone else that I do like with this USB charger current thing that I've got, is if you've got a phone set up with just the board and screen, you've got no home button on it or no power button, and if it goes to sleep and you want to bring it back, you've got to disconnect the power and bring it back. So for that, I just put a button on here, I'll press it, it disconnects the power, and then it brings it back. I also have current limiting set on this, so like I can pick my current limit, and if it goes over there, it shuts it out. So yeah, the heat pipes, it doesn't happen that often, but every now and then you will get a heat pipe that develops a leak, and you can usually tell pretty quick, because when it's running, if you put your hand or you feel around where the CPU is, it's quite hot, but then when you go up to where the radiator element is, it's not. It doesn't have, it's a significant difference, and you've basically got a dead heat pipe. It's a lot better when you get it first before they try taking the crap out. Yeah, oh they do, yeah. I mean, for all I know, that is what's happened here. It probably was junk, and it was probably just junk in it, and then they cleaned it out and caused the second problem. Q's, yeah, this is just one of my little contraptions that I make. It keeps me entertained. I find it enjoyable. It's kind of like, people do crosswords, I just make up little tools for making my job easier. I give great hugs, Chris. Great hugs. Oh, good on you fixing things. You just had to do that, didn't you? This is probably my third. Yeah, I think it's my third revision. I have a USB 3 version. It's had some minor hiccups, but for 99% of the time, I prefer just the simple USB 2 version is fine. Yeah, you get up to 1 amp through it. I could rig the data lines on it to make it so that it will accept a higher current rate when it comes off the PC and whatnot, but there's no point really. What's really nice about these is these little displays, they're I2C displays, so they're very easy to they're very easy to talk to. Any WIS suppliers in your area, Paul? What's WIS? Do Aussies drive a lot of Holden cars? Well, I'd say, Holden is a bit of a, how could you say, a patriotic brand. I don't have one, but in particular, the Holden Commodore is very much a Bogan car. Not exclusively, but if you look at the ownership of them compared to the other car that a lot of people have is the Ford Falcon. Both of them come in 6 and 8 cylinder forms. Both of them usually 4 to 5 litre engines. So the big slugger type engines, inline 6 or V6 in the Commodore's Holden version. I've always just had Ford Falcons. It's a bit of a nuisance because around town, it's a waste. Just choose the petrol because you're running cold almost all the time. But when you get on the highway, it's really nice to have that extra power, particularly if you've got to pass in a hurry. It amazes me how people can properly display images from data. What are you talking about, Chris? What sort of images? From what sort of data? Did you send off the redesign of the battery conditioning boards? I haven't yet, Greg. I keep sort of umming and erring. Part of the problem is that wireless oh, right. Not that I'm aware of, Wayne. We do have fixed wireless broadband here, but that's not what you're talking about, I realise. The GTO, yeah, that's the rebranded export version, yeah. Good for skids, that's pretty much it. I mean, all of them have got, up until recently, they've got live axle on the back, rear wheel drive. It's a classic sort of, I like more cubic inches type car. If he's got the old Ford Falcon, probably something like maybe an XR or XT. They're quite classic. They're beast of the things. Oh, well, you see, fortunately with this, Chris, it's a character display. It's like the normal 16:2 character displays. So you sort of talk to it like a serial device. You just send what string you want sent to it, and it's just limited to 8:2 character matrix, but 8 characters by 2 rows. It's quite easy, it really is. I don't have to program the single pixels. I can, however, and you will notice it, time to use the pointer because I'm the professor here, even though I'm not a professor. And we've booted, I just noticed. Okay, it's good. 3%, you did more than that. Because I've got the limited number of characters I can use, you can program in custom characters. So I've got a custom character here for milliamp, and then also here, instead of having 4.7 volts with a V afterwards, or 4V7, which some people find a bit confusing, don't know why, I combined them to make V dot so that it was pretty clear what that is. So it's handy being able to make those custom characters up. On this limited slip diff in my Ford truck, I had to get pulled out of the mud by a Dodge. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind I don't mind muscle cars. Yeah, I think they have that really nice meaty sound to them, as opposed to the screaming rice burners. But yeah, Q's, I did design this one myself. It's running off a Atmel 18 Mega 48. There's nothing much else to it really. This is the current sense on the back. That little, can't really see it. That's the power switch, so yeah, if I want to shut the, cut the power off, I can just stop driving that MOSFET. The AVR is just sitting under there. Most of it is just the microcontroller, and all of this other stuff is really just supporting fluff or glue pieces, really. Found on road dead. Oh, here we go. The other one is first on the rubbish dump. Yeah, I like the just reflective LCD panels like these, the character ones. I mean, I know the 7 segments display ones are nice too, particularly if you're in dim light. Backlight ones I'm not overly fan of because they do look nice under the right circumstances, but in terms of viewing angles, they can sort of get washed out a bit quicker. Rice burner, Japanese car. Yeah, 4-pot rice burner. But I do like them though. Yeah, my favourite touring car racing was the European touring cars, where they just have 4-cylinder 2-litre engines, I think, or 1.5. Those things are just insane in the way they sounded. I loved it. But I'm also liking the new electrics. I know they're very quiet for a lot of people, but if you start thinking in terms of like Star Wars, Speed Racer, or that sort of thing, it starts becoming interesting. 1972 240Z Datsun Nissan. Don't know what brand name that would have been under for you guys. Cues. The problem with this sort of thing is that trying to manufacture and sell these is that the cost of the parts alone is more for me than what you can buy those existing USB current meters for. Like where you buy them for $2.95, $3.95. The parts on this already are about $6, $7, and then I'm going to stick my premium Australian labour rates, and I charge out about $132 an hour. So yeah, it just isn't economical. The only way I could do that with this is if I got someone over at the board production place doing the full assembly for me. So maybe if I get a run of 50 of them done, or maybe 500, maybe it'll be okay then. We don't have Vauxhall or Opel down here, no. There is a lot of crossover, like particularly with Opel. A lot of our Holden cars are actually Opels rebadged, so it's all under the GM sort of thing. Well, I'm going to have to go back and do other stuff. I've actually got to quote this person on this job. I haven't been approved to replace it outright. So I'm going to confirm. I'll let it charge up to 100%, and I'll let them know what it's going to cost to change that charge port. The only thing I hate about doing these whole dock assemblies is sometimes the microphones are damaged in them, or they're not lined up properly and they don't hear out of them properly, and you've got to pull it all out again. I hate that, I really do. Well, I mean, I used to manufacture all this stuff all the time with model aircraft equipment. So if I was to do this commercially, I would say they would probably be able to make them for, let's say, $6. They would sell them to me in quantities of at least 100, I would say. I can't imagine them bothering with anything less than 100 units. So then come over here, I would probably then have to put them on the market for $19 to make it worth my while. But the design, anyone can take this design and make it themselves if they want. It's an open source design. I mean, but the things like this, I just let anyone copy it. I'm sort of sick of manufacturing stuff, to be honest. Hey, Cat Gamer. Need help with my S3. What's wrong with your S3? What shouldn't I ask? I really don't do a lot with S3s or Samsungs in general. After I lost a lot of money on the screens breaking all the time, I just sort of walked away from them. I was happy to walk away from them, unless it's situation where it's simply a case of replacing the button or something like that. I don't want to deal with them, to be honest. Charger port S3 2012, yeah, that is pretty common. Hopefully it hasn't broken off and pulled up some of those fine traces on the side. Anyone know why they have so many traces? I can understand a couple of traces being there for detective insertion or whatever, but what have they got, like 9, 10 pins on them? Others do not offer actual charging sequence like that. Hey Liam, what do you mean by charging sequence like that? Because I always thought that the other ones that Jesser and everyone else uses was pretty much the same, where it just show you what was happening. Or do you mean the cumulative input, like it's showing how much it's taken over time? I think some of them do now. It's more of a way of advertising stuff. You don't want to actually sell the board, you can advertise schematics. Well, the schematics are available. Bottle of Vaseline, that's when the going gets tough and hard. They have pins in the back that only certain chargers use. Oh, okay. Thanks, Chris. It drove me nuts that they had that. It was like so many pins. But at least with the S3, you can do the changeover. As long as you don't put too much solder on there, if you can see it properly, you should be okay. Well, this is going to take probably 2, maybe 3 hours to fully charge. I think it's alright. I don't think the battery's going to have any issues. Like, I can't see any... There's none of that rippling effect going on. It's all smooth, there's no lifting, there's no delaminating feel. This looks like a pretty good candidate for continuing on. Because I have noticed even if the batteries don't puff up, they can get this... it's just sort of a rough underlying surface, and you know it's starting to degenerate. Fair enough, man. Look at how people throw loads of money on Lewis when he's already seemed to have more than... Yeah. That is the weird thing with popularity or fame and things like that, is that people who need money give money to people who don't need money. It's pretty interesting. Don't touch the phone when it was charging. I'm like, oh, I might get electrocuted. Yeah, that might happen. I swear, of all those electrocution cases, I'd say maybe 99% of them, there was something dodgy going on. Yeah. When they say genuine charger, I'm never thinking maybe it was what they thought was a genuine charger when they bought it off eBay for 1/10 the price. Did you have an issue when repairing Dell laptops? It's very dry here at the moment and I'm talking too much. They can only use Dell AC adapters because the middle sense pin in the jack you cannot use. I have had that problem in the past, but I found that the modern clone chargers seem to be okay. One thing I found that was interesting on those Dells, I always thought that, well, for a long time I always thought that that outer metal casing was, say, like the ground, and then the middle was the positive, whatever. But the outer and the inner outer wall are actually two separate contacts. I didn't realise that for a while. And I think maybe the middle pin isn't really a current carrying pin. It's just a signal pin. The other thing is that Lewis wants money more than everything. Well, yeah, I mean, can't blame him, don't we all? Well, to a great degree. Even if you'd say otherwise. He doesn't get money to live, he lives for the money. So in the end, he gets money. That's true. I often do wish I could be a little more hard-lined and focused like what Lewis is. I think I like to take parts of what he is like and try to improve myself in that sort of fashion. I don't think I'll ever be able to throw away my empathy aspect. Not to say that Lewis isn't empathetic, I mean he is, he's just different levels. I find that being nice and empathy and all that of the customers, while it's a nice initial thing to do, at the end of the day, it more often than not seems to burn me. Either I spend way too long on something, or I take on too much risk for their sake. Uh, yeah, I don't want to be a hardliner or anything, but at the end of the day, I've got to run a business. I need to get more money to buy a house. I mean, here I am in my mid-40s. I used to have a house over in Africa. Um, Things went wrong there, and plus the value of houses there when you transfer it over here to Australia is worthless. Uh, yeah, things have been dragging on too long. I need to knock it up a few notches and get serious, which is where having the microscope and everything else has been a very important step for me. So for that, I'm very thankful and grateful to all the people who did contribute and everyone else that's been helping um, for me to make these new steps. The timing is just right. Well, I should say it's finally just in time. Things are getting a little bit tight. I'm starting to panic a bit. So it's alright when you're in your 20s and maybe halfway through your 30s, you don't really panic too much, but then when your 40s start kicking in, you start to realise, well, I've got 10, 15 years of non-inhibited functionality ahead of me, and if I don't get things at least a good distance to where I want to go, I'm maybe running into some strife. And I don't want to be a person sitting in some dimly lit single light bulb swinging from the roof as the upstairs people dance around. You know, I don't want to be the guy that's suffering because he didn't plan things right in his life. So I've had a few hiccups. Hopefully I can get it right this time. Lewis certainly deals with a rough class of people where he lives. Now, I'm not sure what New Yorkers would be like in terms of, by the sound of it, his customers are a lot more hardline and very quick to basically rip your face off, it feels like. Whereas here, a lot of my customers, they're very easygoing. If I say, look, this is going to take a bit longer, or it's going to take a bit more money, or I couldn't do this, most of them are pretty casual about it. I mean, half the time, if I declare a phone is dead, or not worth fixing or whatever, they just leave it with me. Same with computers, like this MacBook that I'm doing the recording on. It was just someone's friend of mine, actually, and she spilled a glass of wine behind it and it just sucked it up like a MacBook does, killed it, and they just gave it to me, and it's working great now. So, yeah, I get a lot of those advantages here, but at the same time, that's not hard cash, and unfortunately to get a house, particularly if you're a sole trader, working for yourself here in Australia, you need to have a lot of cash up front to be able to buy a house, because the banks will not approach you. You're considered too much of a risk, and my credit history does not do me any favours anymore. I got screwed over because of a certain situation in the past, so I'm pretty much going to have to get to the point where I need to put down about probably 30-40% on a house. The HP charger, you put a 4K 7, 100K resistor between the ID pin and 19 volt. Okay, yeah. Keys, I'm 44. Yeah, I wish I was 35, yeah. Aussies are generally more relaxed anyway, it seems to me. I guess it depends where you come from. Certainly what we project to the world is that we're a more laid-back country. But I can tell you now, if you go down to Sydney or any of the capital cities, or even Townsville here, which is 250,000 people, they're just as highly strung as everyone else. But we like to portray that as our trademark of Australia, being casual. Chris, I'm not doing any TriStar practice at the moment. I need to go get some food, more coffee, check on other things. I've got some invoices to write up. I've got to get that Galaxy back together so I can cash in. So I will do, and at the moment I'm at the stage where if I'm doing TriStar practice, I want to be doing it all on my own quietly, particularly with the shakes I'm showing at the moment. So we use fake income report to get the loan. Yeah, that's fine until they find out. Then the tax department says, hey, you said you earned this much, but the bank says you got this much, and it gets out of control. Dr. T says, I learned very quickly, you don't look at anyone, you don't talk to anyone. I presume that's in New York, right? TriStar practice on 5G. With the 5G, you guys can tell me, I've seen that you can just scrape the top off, put a whopping great big iron like my Monster iron, and flick it off. I presume that's after you've knocked away a little bit of the underfill. Yeah. Oh, Chris, thank you. I'll harass you later. You're going to be hurting later. Cryjo, the other day I didn't finish my job until it was 5:15 in the morning. I then had to get up at 9:15 and keep going. And then last night it was not too dissimilar. So yeah, it's pretty rough. I feel for you. I've got to get going too. But thank you everyone for sitting around and watching me almost completely screw up the S4 button and having a look at this iPhone 6, which WorldTech won on that one. Turned out to be the dock, but of course, if I told everyone that it had been cleaned out, then most of us probably would have gone for that option too. So until next time, you all take care. I'll see you later.